Hi, hello, welcome to my channel. This video is going to be my January wrap-up. I think that I read like 8 books. Let me check. Yeah, I read 8 books and it was a really good month. The last couple of months of 2023 were not that great reading-wise, so I was actually very pleasantly surprised that I read 8 books, and also pretty much all of them were 3 stars and above, and the majority of them were like 4 stars and above. So yeah, let's just get right into it. I started the year by picking up a book from my favorite author, and that is Hazelwood. So the first book that I read is Checkmate. I think that I gave this 4.75. It's supposed to be a young adult romance. I would say that it's more so like a new adult romance because it does deal with heavier topics, and just it didn't feel like a young adult book reading it. It felt like a new adult book, but I really loved it. It was so fun. We have Mallory and Nolan, and Mallory has not played chess in years, but when she used to play chess, she was very good at it. And then we have Nolan, which is like the worldwide champion of chess, and one day they end up playing against each other, and Mallory starts to remember how much she loves chess. It was very fun to follow along. It was very entertaining. I really liked the characters. In the beginning, I wasn't that sure because I don't know, something about Mallory's life and the things that she has to deal with. I wasn't sure that I was going to enjoy figuring that stuff out, but it was very entertaining. I loved this book. I loved the characters. I loved the plot. I loved how we got to see the characters interact with each other, and I don't know, I really enjoyed it. This was everything that I was expecting from an Hazelwood book, everything that I love about Hazelwood books. There wasn't like a single time that I was very bored with this book, and I'm very happy about it. And then I actually continued with Hazelwood books. So I read Love Theoretically. This is like a STEM novel, the classic Hazelwood STEM novels. I loved it. This was a 5-star, which is very surprising because last year I actually only had, I think, 2 5-star reads. And this year I'm trying to read more books that I just have the potential to be 5 stars, and I love this. This was so good. This book is about Elsie and Jack. Elsie is a theoretical physicist, and on the side, like as a side job, she's also like a fake dating kind of person. So there's this company and she works for them, and she basically fake dates people. One of the people that she's fake dating with is Jack's brother. One day Elsie finds out about this job that is basically her dream job, and she ends up finding out that actually the only person starting between Elsie and the job is Jack. And that was so fun. I loved it. It was so entertaining. I loved it. I love the beginning. You go straight into the story, and it was so good. It was so entertaining, so just fast paced. It was so fun. I literally could not put it down. The quotes in this are amazing. I love the 2 main characters. I love the side characters. I loved everything about this book. Elsie is a true people pleaser. She tries to fit into what every single person wants from her. She's really good at figuring out what other people want, and then she just tries to morph into that person. And Jack is like, no, I don't want that. I want to see who you are. And it was so amazing to see. I loved it. This is 100% he falls first and he also falls harder, which is incredible. I loved it so much. It was so entertaining. At some points it had my heart broken, then I was crying, and then I was laughing, and then I was falling in love, and it was just all of the feelings in the best way possible. This is amazing. And then the last Hazelwood book that I read is the novella Bind Up. So this is Loathe to Love You. So we have Under One Roof, Stuck With You, and Below Zero. So it's 3 novellas all in this book. All of them are enemies to lovers. And the first novella, Under One Roof, is roommates to lovers. The second one is, I don't know what it is. Second chance, maybe? Maybe first proximity, I guess? I don't know. And the third novella is workplace romance, kind of. So I ended up giving this book 4 stars. I thought that it was like a pretty good book, and the novellas were pretty good. Each one was like 120 pages, so it was very short. I didn't get that attached to the characters, but I definitely think that throughout the book you started to get more attached to them. And this is kind of like companion novellas, I guess. So we're following 3 best friends, and in each book you see the other characters, and I think that was actually very good because I was starting to get attached to the characters, and by the 3rd novella I was actually very interested in the characters. Was it anything spectacular? No, but I feel like if you have read every single other Hazelwood book and you were like, oh my god, I need to read like another book by her, but there's just none out, yeah, sure, pick this one up. It was fun, it was easy, but nothing amazing. Like, I'm not gonna think about these characters again in my life. But yeah, for novellas, they were actually pretty good. My favorite, I would have to say, is either like the second one, Stuck With You, or Below Zero. I really liked both of these. Under One Roof wasn't my favorite, probably because I wasn't that interested in the characters, because I wasn't that attached to them. The next book that I read was on my Kindle, and it was Mistakes Were Made by Meryl Wilsner. I ended up giving this, I think, 3.5 stars. This book came out last year, and I was so curious about it because honestly, the plot, the story sounds incredible and something that I don't really read about. Also, it's a sapphic romance, which is something that I love reading about. So I had very high expectations about this book. So we have Cassie and Erin. Erin is in her late 30s, I think, and then Cassie is like on her early 20s. They meet at a bar, they end up spending the night together, and then the next day they realize that Cassie is Erin's daughter's best friend. So just by that, I was like, literally hooked. I was like, yes, I want to see what happens. But I was kind of disappointed. I was expecting for this book to be at least 4 stars, but it wasn't. I do think that the writing was pretty good. I am curious to try more books from this author, but I feel like the book was very heavy on the physical side of things, and that's not something that I'm like, I don't enjoy. Sure, I like it. I prefer when we see emotional development and how the two people fall in love. More so emotional attraction and not just physical attraction. Reading this book, I didn't feel like the characters were emotionally attracted to each other that much. And that kind of ruined the book. There were so many scenes that it felt more so like the author was trying to tell us, oh, they're falling in love with each other. They are having feelings for each other, and not so us seeing that with actions and different little things. And yeah, that was kind of disappointing for me because I didn't feel that attached to the characters, you know? By the end of the book, I didn't care about them ending up together. And then the whole way that Cassie's best friend, Erin's daughter, found out that they are together, it felt kind of disappointing to me and kind of anticlimactic, honestly. I was expecting a lot more from this book, but yeah. It was still like a fun book and I would recommend it. It's just it wasn't what I was expecting. And then I decided to read a very popular series that I started, I think like 2 years ago, but then I never finished. And that is the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. I haven't read any other books by Lauren Asher and I have heard incredible things. So I was like, let me start with this series. The first book is The Fine Print. I give this book 4 stars. It was actually the second time that I was reading this book. I read it 2 years ago. It was the only book that I read from this series. And I think that I had given it like a 3.5 stars. So I definitely enjoyed it more this time around, but I still just, something was missing for me. Between the characters, the attraction it didn't really feel like it was there. I don't know, I really wanted to see the characters kind of be more attracted to each other. In the beginning of the book, they basically just don't like each other, and then there's like this certain point in the book that they basically do a 180 and they are just very attracted to each other. And it's just like the in-between part, how we got from hating each other to really liking each other. I didn't see that. I didn't understand how that happened. That's like my biggest issue. And I was actually very sad about it because I really loved the plot of the book. I really liked the characters. I really liked the scenes that the author did. So yeah, I was very disappointed about that. But I decided to continue with the series because I have heard incredible things about the second book and the third book. So then I went into the second book, which is Terms and Conditions, and this is about Declan and Irish, and it's a fake marriage kind of situation, and that is actually like a trope that I really love. Fake dating, fake marriage, everything about that is something that I really enjoy. So I actually did have very high expectations about this book. It was also 4 stars. It felt a tiny bit similar to the first book in the sense that they were not attracted to each other, and just out of the blue they end up being attracted to each other in 1 chapter or so. It felt like out of nowhere, and I wish that we could have seen more of the signs and then they realized that they were attracted to each other. But it's more so they realized that they were attracted to each other and then we start to see their attraction. It was like they flipped a switch and I was like, no, that doesn't seem realistic. No. And also Declan, which I was expecting to be an amazing character. I knew that he was grumpy, but he wasn't grumpy. He was just rude. Especially in the beginning of the book, he was so rude. It wasn't what I was expecting. It felt like way too long for what it was, and I felt like we just kept going on and on and on and on. I was like, okay, can we wrap this up? And then we move on to the third book, which is Final Offer. This one is my favorite book out of all of them. I gave this 4.5. I really enjoyed it. It was very fun. Was it too long? Yes, it was. And that's like the reason why it wasn't like a higher rating. Even though 4.5 is still like a really good rating. It's like amazing rating. But reading the book, I was actually thinking about giving it a 5-star rating, which is crazy to me that I could have had 2 5-star ratings in a month. But throughout the book, I felt like a lot of things just kept happening and it was just the same, and it's just the whole book dragged on. And then I feel like Throughout the whole book, we are learning about Carl's addiction. And by the time we reach the point of him trying to get over that addiction, we literally don't see anything happening. It's literally one chapter he decides, oh, I need to change this, I need to make a change. And then the next chapter, he has made that change, he's all done, and he's just ready for his life. And I wish that we could have seen more of how he got over his addiction and how he got better. So that was kind of disappointing because I feel like the whole book was leading up to that. And then it's just, we did not even see it, we just saw the result, and that was kind of disappointing. So that, and then also it was extremely long for what it was. I feel like we could have definitely made it shorter by 100 pages. It made it not that perfect, but I still really like the characters. It's a single parent romance and it was incredible. I love the small town vibes. I love like the whole renovation kind of vibe that it had going on. It was like forced proximity. It was incredible. I really liked it. I highly recommend that book. I wish that the rest of the books in the series could have had that. I was giggling, I was laughing out loud, I was just blushing. It was just so cute. It was incredible. I really like the characters and I really like the relationship. And it's actually one of the second chance romance books that I really enjoy. And then the last book that I read in January is The Plus One by Maisie Eddings. This is the third book in the A Brush with Love series. I really enjoy this series. Something that happens with this series is literally that every single book feels different. With hazelwood, I feel like all of the books have like some similarities, and just in general with other authors, every single book in this series has felt different. If you want like a very fluffy book, you can read the first book. If you want like a more so funny and just a romantic comedy kind of situation, you can read the second book. And then if you want a very heavy and a heartbreaking book, this one is that. It broke my heart, it put it back together and then broke it up again, and it's only 300 pages. I don't know how he did it. Something that Maisie Eddings is incredible at doing is having amazing mental health representation in every single one of the books. And in this book, she outdid herself. Literally. We have Indira and Jude. Jude is Indira's brother's best friend, and he's basically like a doctor that goes in like places that have wars and stuff, and he treats people, and obviously that has taken like a toll on his mental health. And then we have Indira, she's a psychologist, and she recently broke up with her boyfriend, and she ends up being like, okay, I'm gonna go to my brother's house and stay there for a bit until I figure out things. But what she doesn't know is that Jude is living with her brother because her brother, Colin, is getting married, right? So Jude has taken time off to come and be at his best friend's wedding. So they end up spending time together and they end up fake dating each other, and it's just, you see them learning about each other and opening up with each other, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful love story. This had so many things going on for 300 pages. At one chapter I was laughing, at the next chapter I was literally crying, and like my heart was genuinely breaking because going through Jude's thought process and through his mind and how he sees what is happening around him, it was literally heartbreaking. I wanted to hug him and tell him that everything was going to be okay. And seeing Indira and how trauma from her past has affected her everyday life years later, it was so well done. And at the same time, because Indira is a psychiatrist, you got to see a lot of her fears and how like her trauma affects her confidence in her job. And I think that was very interesting because being a psychiatrist is very hard. In my opinion, you need to be able to listen to other people's problems and then just not get affected by them. It always was something that was very interesting to me because I was like, how can you do that? And I feel like in this book I kind of got some answers to how it is to be a psychiatrist and just struggle with your own stuff but not letting that affect your everyday life. And I think that this book did an amazing job at just showing that and explaining it, and just, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I wish that this book was bigger, which is something that I don't usually say, but I wish that this book had like 100 pages more. Before you read this book, please check trigger warnings because some scenes in this book are very hard to read, even from a person that I don't really get triggered from what is happening in this book, but it was still very hard to read. So I would 100% recommend to check trigger warnings. But yeah, I definitely recommend this book. And yeah, those are all the books that I read this month. 8 books. I think that it's an amazing amount. I am so happy about it. I think that I read some incredible books and some books that have been on my TBR for so long, and I'm so happy that I finally read them. So yeah, that's all I had to say. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to. I hope that I will see you in my next video. Bye!